And I'm so excited to hear from you, Amanda. So without further ado, I will hand over to you.
Introduction for everything I'm going to say. And we don't have much time, okay? So get a pen and a piece of paper next to your Zoom call or computer, because hopefully there are going to be some pearls that you can write down and put into practice straight away. And I tried really hard not to jam pack too much content in, and I think I failed, okay? But you can look at this recording 300 times and pull out all the pieces. And what I've tried to do is to focus in on really the most important things, and then give you some little practical tips that you can use that actually make a big difference. They might seem teeny weeny, but they're proven to make a really big difference. So the first part is a gift from my mum to you. My mum and stepdad were married for about 20 years. And they lived in the country. And when my stepdad died, my mum was devastated. And they lived in Queensland. I was living in Sydney at the time. And they were on a country property, like real country, and like 5 hours drive from Brisbane. And so mum had to move from the property for various reasons. And she came to stay with me in Sydney for about 6 weeks. Well, she was devastated and angry. So needless to say, of course, I wanted to support her, but it was a long 6 weeks. Anyway, 6 weeks passed, and I love my mum. She was a wonderful mum. And I took her to the airport. And when I came home from the airport, there was a note on my pillow. If you have not done this recently to someone you love, do it. Whether you do it online, it's better handwritten though, or to someone that you're living with. Because for some of us, we're living on our own, like I am. And fortunately in Queensland, we're not in lockdown, but the social isolation is a massive thing. And if you are living with somebody, you know, lockdown makes you want to stab them half the time. But remember, they want to stab you too. So we have to keep a sense of humour about all of this. However, writing them a note like this is fabulous. So my mum wrote me a note and it said what a wonderful daughter I was, and special moments we'd had together, and how much she loved me and how wonderful I was. The sort of note that at the end of it, I'm reading and going, I love mum. She's such a great mum. And I'm such a bitch because I was glad she left. You know, have you ever done that? And anyway, at the very bottom of this note, she had drawn a great big heart on one side and a great big heart on the other side and a whole lot of little hearts in between. And that was my mum's way of sending me love. And we ended up with this code. And please, before you look at this and go, you know, that's like so twee, or whatever you might do in terms of judging it, it's these little things at times of crisis like this, personal, emotional crises, that really make a difference, because they take no brain power, but they work. And what we did, we called each little heart a zoot, Z-O-O-T. And what we would do is send each other zoots, going from my heart to yours, going zoot, 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 zoot. So I'm going to begin this presentation by sending you love, zoot, 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 zoot. And you might sit there and go, well, I don't know you. I don't want your love. But you know what? We're all humans, and we all want to be loved. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard, and we all want to be accepted. And it doesn't matter whether you are blue or green, you're Liberal or Labor, you're union or in a man, woman, trans, anything. It doesn't matter. We're all humans, and we operate on love. So from this moment forward, start zooting people. Zoot your partner, if you're living with one, as they walk by, go zoot, zoot, zoot. Now, when you do this, you can do it non-verbally, right? It's better if you can go zoot, zoot, zoot and touch someone else's chest just above their hearts. You can do it like from a distance, go zoot, 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 but send the zoots off gently. Don't go, you know, zoot, 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 bam, because otherwise it's like a punch in the head. Silly as it sounds, those non-verbal things matter. And you can zoot on the phone. And you know, if you're pregnant, you can zoot the baby. I've had many pregnant women say to me they had such a calm baby, and they're sure it's because they zooted them. And so create a world full of zoots for yourself. And for many of us who live on our own, I know it sounds corny, but careful, you're judging. Zoot yourself. When you're sitting on a Zoom call, you've got to look at yourself. If you're waiting for someone to come on, why don't you just look at yourself and go, zoot, zoot, zoot. You're doing a great job today. because there isn't anybody else to give us acknowledgement. Or zoot yourself in front of the mirror. And you know, particularly for women, no, actually it's for everybody. We're so hard on ourselves. We're not our own BFFs. Become your own BFF instead of your own worst enemy. Because who talks to us the way we talk to ourselves? And we're going to be looking at that because on Are You OK Week, or in Are You OK Week, and now it's going to Are You Really OK? Because most people go, yeah, I'm okay, but they're not. I actually want to swap it a bit and say, am I okay? Am I really okay? Because when do you take time out to stop and truly tune in to how you are feeling? Because these days, you know, we've got these massive problems. There's social isolation. That's the biggest one. And I'll come back to that. Social isolation, there's uncertainty, there's fear, there's disconnection there. We feel like we're out of control. We have no idea what's going to happen. There's fear everywhere. And it's like Groundhog Day as we juggle all the things that we're having to juggle, particularly if you're a mother of young children and you're trying, and I'm making this for women because it is wow. So if there are men listening, I'm sure you're having to do similar things as well. But we're juggling children and homeschooling and cooking and keeping the children entertained and working and having a relationship. And at the end of the day, when did you give yourself 5 seconds? Because women have a martyr gene and a guilt gene. And it plays up in so many areas of our lives. And if you think about it, when were you on your birthday once, sometime, excuse me, someone will have given you a massage voucher. How many times have you done this? On day 363, you think, oh, geez, I must use that massage voucher. So you book yourself a massage, you go along, 5 minutes into the massage, you go, oh, this is great. Why didn't I do this before? Oh, this is fabulous. 5 minutes, the guilt gene, the martyr gene kicks in, and you lie like, oh, but I shouldn't be here. I've got so much to do. I should have given it to someone else. No, you shouldn't. It is so important because if you don't take care of yourself, you know this. No one else is going to do it for you. And one of the most important things for this experience that we're all having, this COVID experience, and as Tamron said, it's full of opportunities. The opportunity it gave me is to realize I didn't have a life. Seriously, I'm a speaker. I was just saying to the ladies before that this is the longest I've been at home in 35 years, but by like 20 million times. And when everything stopped overnight, I actually realized I didn't have a life. And I'm 67. And I've worked on myself since I was 21, seriously, because I speak about these sorts of things. But I've never done such deep work as I have in the last 18 months. And this is some of what I'd like to share with you. So having said all of that, it's okay to admit it's been challenging. If I stood here and I said to you, oh, it's been a breeze the last 18 months, I'd be lying. And I would say to myself, oh, pig's ass, this has been the most challenging time of my life. I have dug more deeply, had more profound experiences, had my heart shattered, and learned how to be grateful for that shattering because I would never have done the work to dig as deep as I have. And maybe there's something that's happened for you in all this COVID stuff, in this experience, that's going to help you dive a bit deeper. And I have to tell you, it was not easy. It was not pretty. It was probably dark night of the soul. And as I come out of the other end of it, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. So it's how we choose to look at it. And just last night, because I've been working on this for you guys for a few days, I was reading in my Bible, which is called The Great Human Potential. And, you know, in these days of uncertainty, lack of control, there's nothing we can do. It's not true. There is one thing over which we have total control. No one else does this to us. We are the ones who control our thinking. Now, there are steps we can take to be more conscious of it, but we are the ones who control our thinking. And last night in this book, there was, because I was a bit discombobulated this week. I don't know, there was something in the air, the energy, and there's so much crap happening basically. And I read this phrase and I thought, I'm going to share this with Westpac because it's so good And we can choose to say this if we want to. When you're feeling discombobulated, jittery, anxious, just stop and say, I stand in peace in the midst of the chaos. And write that down, because I forgot it. I had to write it down a couple of times. I stand in peace in the midst of the chaos. Because if you can stand in peace, if you can be okay and in peace, you emanate a feel. You know, I've studied quantum physics since I was 17, so that's like 8 billion years. And there were like 7 people in my class at uni. That's how new it was back then. And do you know, when you meet someone, you get a vibe? Well, that's not just like some random thing. That's because all of us project a field. We project a magnetic field. Humans are bioelectric currents. And how you feel inside is what projects out of you. Excuse me. So if you stand in peace, if you choose to stand in peace and you somehow find peace on the inside, and I'll give you a couple of tips on how to do that as we go through, then that's what you'll emanate. And it will calm the farm all around you. You know what it's like. If your kids are upset or your partner's upset or your housemate's upset or someone in your family's upset and you get upset, what happens? Everything ramps up. And if somebody upset is really upset in front of you and you're not going to calm down, they'll punch you. You don't try to calm somebody else down, but what you do is calm yourself down. And the field, the vibe that comes out of you will help them calm down. So I stand in peace in the midst of the chaos. Say that to yourself every time there's a drama, because drama is there to get our attention. But let me go into this. So you guys have all heard of the bell curve. And I just want to use it as an example of how we can consciously choose. So the bell curve is usually split into 3. And normally, you know, they say this is the very successful, these are the average, these are the people who are not successful. I want to swap it today. I want to put these are the people who consciously say, today I choose joy. Have you ever noticed when you wake up in a good mood or you're newly in love, you know, when you're newly in love, everything's perfect. Because you wake up and you go, whoa, I love my life. I love my life. Everything is fabulous. And it doesn't matter what happens. You somehow turn it around. And then when you fall out of love, everything sucks. And doesn't matter what happens, it all sucks. Well, what's the common denominator? It's us. And it's what we choose to focus on. And so these people at the joyful end often begin their days with, today I choose joy. Give it a go. But if you've got a little voice inside, you go, yeah, pig's ass, that's not going to happen. Well, it's highly likely it's not going to happen. But if you make a decision to choose joy, to look for the good, which we'll come back to, then that is what you're more likely to do. And it's likely to lead to a better day. Instead of waking up going, it's another day in hell. I mean, where does that get you? You'll wake up and you go, oh, look, hell. And then let's see if we can make it worse today. These are little things that are so obvious. And some of you might be sitting there going, well, duh. But when do we stop and actually think about our thinking? So let me come back to that. In the middle here, these are all these people who are just existing. These are the people who are resigned. I know it's messy, but I'm telling you what I'm writing. Resigned, that's just the way it is. There's nothing we can do. There is everything we can do, and it's all about how we choose to think. And then down this end are the people who just generally suck. And these are the people who are focused on fear. They wake up terrified. Everywhere they go, terrified. Do you know, fear is the most damaging emotion you can possibly have on a body, next to anger. Fear and anger. Anger is the number 1 predictor of heart attack. Fear just screws with every system in your body. So these are the people who are running on fear. These are the people who live by judging. I think I'm allergic to these pens. Forgive me if I have to cough a lot. I've got the no flavor, no odor, no nothing, and I still cough. So these are the people who are judging. And if you remember nothing else from this, remember the single greatest challenge for humans, in my opinion, is for us to observe and not judge. We live in a world of judgment. We judge everything, and we judge ourselves more harshly, excuse me, than anyone else. And if you start to become more conscious and you focus on the amount you judge, you'll be stunned. Like, I'm still working on it. Maybe 10 years ago, I didn't even really, I know this is going to sound really stupid, but I actually didn't know what judging was. I'll never forget being at a dinner in America when I'd moved over there, having a conversation with someone saying, well, I don't think I'm judgmental. And they looked at me and their eyes like bulged out of their heads and they laughed, and I'm dead set. I was constantly judging, but I was completely unconscious. Now, here's one of the big gifts from this. What is the difference that makes the difference between these three categories? Now, choose where you want to live. Do you want to live in this joyful end? And of course, you're not going to be joyful every nanosecond of the day. We're humans. It's normal to have a range of feelings. But it isn't normal to feel absolute crap about yourself. Because the most important thing in life, the single most important thing in life, is how you feel about yourself. Because that determines how everyone else feels around you. See, people will forget how you looked. People will forget what you said, but they will never forget how they felt around you. Not how you made them feel, because we don't make anybody feel anything. We create an environment in which they are free to feel. So they never forget how they felt around you. Are you someone that people love to be around because they always feel good about themselves when they're around you? And that's usually because it's someone who's either uber caring and compassionate, but also who feels good about themselves. And most people, really, it's not just women. Women have made it an art form, feel dreadful about themselves. We judge ourselves endlessly. Oh, you look dreadful. You're too fat. You're too thin. Your hair's terrible. You look on. Your makeup's awful. And look, blah, blah, blah. Stop it. Here's one of the first things. So I want you to repeat to yourself, if you're sitting in a group, if you're in a branch and you've got a few people around you, this is awesome because you're connecting with others, and you're going to look at a couple of people and go, stop it, stop it. And if you're by yourself sitting in front of the computer, you're on mute, I know, just kind of look at your reflection and go, stop it. And then write, stop it, on a sticky note and put it in front of you. And that's your symbol to catch yourself judging. Because the difference that makes the difference between these three, see, these people don't really suck. They're stuck. They're stuck in fear. They're stuck in judgment. They're stuck in blaming and making excuses. So the only thing that separates them is the T word, and it is your T, I-N-G. What is it? It's your thinking. Thinking. And who else is in charge of your thinking? No one. You are. And oh my God, I go so slowly. So listen hard and fast. It's your thinking. No one else is in charge of your thinking. You are the only one who decides what you are going to think. If you take nothing else away from this, take away the commitment, the decision to observe your thinking. Because we know that 95 to 99% of the time in epigenetics, we know this, it's science, we are literally unconscious of our thoughts, literally unconscious. So if you become an observer of your thinking, you can create the experiences that you want to have in life. You can create the mood that you have. You can change the way you feel. So that's the beginning. But there is one antidote that I tried to come up with, something that you'd be able to remember. You can hook memories onto, because humans remember symbols better than anything else. So the antidote to everything that's going on right now, the stress, the uncertainty, the pressure, the overwhelm, all the stuff that's going on, all the feelings that we're having, the one antidote to it is to connect. Oh, connect. It's to connect, connect, connect. And connect to your heart. It's your heart. I've got to go fast. And to connect heart to heart, your heart with someone else's heart. And these are things you know this deep in your heart, because there are 3 types of intelligence, 3 types of thinking. There's the gut feel, we call it, because it is a feeling. But your gut, your heart, and your brain all have neurons, the thinking cells. And these 2, I think, are more powerful than this, because here you get your intuition. Here you get wisdom and your truth. Here you get old stories, old patterns, unconsciousness. And if we just sit here and we don't pay attention to the heart and we don't pay attention to the gut, then we don't get a good balanced picture. So, excuse me, over here, we've got connect to joy. And that's kind of your symbol of your thinking, what you're going to decide you're thinking. So what I'm going to do is do C-O-N-N-E-C and T. And so you can link things to this. So I'm going to have to cut it down, but what I will do, I'll write something around this later on, and I'll send it to the team, and they can send it out to you, or you can request to see it or something, or I'll post it somewhere. Or look, you can go to amandagore.com/secret, and I'll put it on the secret page as well. So what we're going to do is talk about, we've already mentioned, become conscious. Wake up to the fact that 95 to 99% of the time we are unconscious of our thinking. And so we're judging ourselves all the time. Remember, stop it. Stop it is your number 1 thing. And second, is to become conscious. Wake up. Normally, if you're in a room with me, which I would love that so much, I'd hug all of you. I would have you turn to the person on either side of you, grab them by the shoulder, shake them, and say, wake up, wake up. So if you're in a room with other people, bless them and shake them and say, wake up. If you're by yourself, grab yourself by your shoulders. I have to be careful because of the microphone. And then shake yourself and say, wake up, wake up. And every morning when you wake up and make a decision. Today I choose joy. Today I will be conscious of my thinking. Because when you're conscious and you make that decision to be conscious, you can change everything. Because what is running our lives, truly, what is running our lives, is the stories we've told ourselves in our heads that are deeply embedded, and we don't even know they're running our lives. And again, I haven't got time to elaborate, but here are the 3 core fears. Write these down. The 3 core fears that create the dramas in our lives. These are the stories we tell ourselves that are not true, that run in the background like malware in your life. Firstly, I'm not worth loving, or I'm not good enough. The second is I'm unsafe in some way. And the third is that I'm separate. And if you look at what's happening with the COVID experience, it is tapping in big time to the second 2 core fears that most people have. I got the trifecta. Haven't got time to tell you the stories of the trifecta, but I know all about this because I got the trifecta. And I'm still working my way through it, but I'm very proud to say I'm making progress. And you know what? Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be human. Give yourself permission and be vulnerable, and tell people, you know what? I'm struggling. I'm not doing okay right now. And the interesting thing is that, a study at, I think it was Stanford University, they discovered that there's a difference between male and female brains, although I know we're not supposed to say that there's differences, but, they did it on a gender-specific experiment. And what they found was that it's men who do fight or flight with the testosterone. Women do tend and befriend. In other words, when women are stressed, we want to talk about the problem. We want to connect. We talk endlessly to each other. In fact, often we'll talk simultaneously on different topics, but we respond appropriately because we can multitask, which brings me to multitasking. It's not a great thing to do, but I haven't got time to explain that. Just know it's not great. Try to focus on one thing. But women, what you'll hear one woman talking to another woman, and the woman that's listening is going, "Oh no, you're joking. Oh hell, oh he did what?" And women love this. We love it. We don't want you to solve the problem. At the end of it, nothing's changed, but women feel better because we've had someone listen and validate how we feel. It's all right to feel. But it's really important to connect to your heart, to consciously feel and consciously let it flow. I shut my feelings down when I was 2. I learned how to feel, properly feel, when I was 67. I didn't know I'd shut my feelings down. And it was really unusual exercise to feel again and extraordinarily painful. However, I'm really glad I have. And I think the biggest lesson out of that for me that I could share with you is that it's okay to feel. It's not okay to suppress the feelings. And it's really important to feel, open your heart, and then let them flow through. And I thought that was a bit corny when I first heard it, but actually it's really effective. When I could recognize something was wrong, I would feel it in my gut, and then I would have to pay attention to the story I was telling myself, and then I would feel and try to identify the feeling, and then I would think, okay, now just let it flow. And I would just sit quietly and let it flow and blow me down. It would kind of flow out. It actually really works. So give it a go. Anyway, so we're up to consciousness, and consciously find good. In this day and age, it is so easy to find bad, sad, tragic, fear, drama. Stop it. Find the good. My mentor, David Martin, talks about monotonous goodness. The truth is, our lives are monotonously good. They're a little monotonous right now with Groundhog Day. However, we're alive. And it isn't that we're in an atmosphere of horrendousness. I mean, I'm so blessed in Queensland, and I live in a kind of a semi-tropical place, and I have lots of nature around me. I look for the good. Some days it was really hard. Some days when I was in dark night of the soul, it was so hard. But I would force myself, I would discipline myself to find something good, even if it was, and there was one day I remember where I had to tell myself, at least you're breathing. And then there was a voice inside me that said, well, I don't even think that's a good idea right now. But I look back and I laugh at that because I'm not judging myself. I just let myself feel. So the next is to be a good finder. Okay, so write this down too. Put down, oh, that says finder, on your, in front of your computer with your little trigger notes, be a good finder. So no matter what happens, find something good in it, because that's a choice. We can do that. And the second part of the C is to be curious. And this is a really big one because it is the antithesis of judgment. Because if you can be curious and you can start using the word interesting, and again, my mentor taught me this, instead of going, oh, no, that's terrible. Oh, you're joking. Oh, things are going to hell in a handbasket. And I have to tell you, there are days I do this. There are days it gets on top of me. And then I catch myself and I go, oh, that's interesting. Because you think about it. If you get a phone call and somebody says, X has happened, if your instant reaction inside is, oh no, what do you think your body does? Your body goes into red alert. It goes, oh no, panic, panic, panic. And your immune system goes and the adrenaline flows and cortisol comes out and you're on red alert. It's not good for you. Instead, from now on, if somebody says something to you that shoots up drama, you stop it, wake up and go, oh, that's interesting. And I find I can say, interesting, but it's not as good as if I go, oh, that's interesting. And I move my head and I get the voice tone going up and down because it engages more of me. So on the count of 3, we're all going to say, oh, that's interesting to each other. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, that's interesting. And if you didn't join in, you consciously chose to fit somewhere into here. So did you have a bit of fun with it? Did you think, oh, I'll give it a go, nobody's watching me, or if they are, let's all have fun? Or did you just go, oh, that's interesting, or she's an idiot? Or down here, did you go, ridiculous, just ridiculous? Judging, 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 your choice. Anyway, that's the other C word, choice here. So that's interesting. Got that? I haven't got time to write it all out. The second, the O, is for open your heart. Open your heart. Zoot others. Zoot yourself. And you know, again, I haven't got time. This would be a whole 50-minute session on how the love of my lifetimes helped me open my heart, and then by the consequences, cracked the walnut shell that I had around it, which was extraordinarily painful. But I can see the contrast of life before and life after. And having an open heart versus a protected heart is a way better way to live. It's more authentic, it's more vulnerable. And yes, there's a little more risk with that, but I've been the way I was before, and I'm now experiencing this way, and this is way better. Little, like, you know, kind of a bit more fleshy and open, but it's way better. And people pick it up around me. And I'm not perceived as intimidating as I was, and all those other words that strong women have thrown at them. And I'm still strong, but it's interpreted differently. So the vibe, the essence of what I am now, is creating a different field. And that is one of the words we're going to use with the other C over here. We can create our own environment, but we are the ones creating it by what we emanate, by who we really are. So am I really okay? Was I really okay before? No. Excuse me, I was pretending. So the second part of the O is to become an observer of your thinking. I think that says observer, O-B-S-E-R-V-R. Yes, observer. Become an observer of your thinking and catch yourself when you're telling yourself one of the old stories, because, watch me really closely. You are absolutely worth loving. You are absolutely good enough. It doesn't mean that we can't grow and develop and be better. But you right now, this moment, as imperfectly perfect as you are absolutely worth loving, and you are absolutely good enough. You are safe, and you are not separate. You are always connected to everything in the quantum field, and how connected you are heart to others is 100% up to you. But you are always connected. And this whole presentation has been created and bathed in love for you, which, even though I'm on a computer for you and I'm on the other side of a camera for me, in the quantum field, you and I are connected. We are absolutely connected. I totally empathize where most of you are. And part of the beauty of this whole COVID experience is that through my different experiences, I'm able to relate with empathy much better to all of you. And I'm deeply grateful for that. And so the other part of the C over here is to celebrate. And it's to celebrate you and your uniqueness and your amazing wisdom, because you are wise. Your heart is phenomenally wise, and your gut is extraordinarily intuitive. And I'm jumping a little bit, I know, but the C word came up, so I just want to talk about it. And it's really important that you celebrate yourself, because very few people celebrate us. Yeah, we've got leaders and they're supposed to acknowledge us, and we're supposed to have partners who acknowledge us, and children and all the rest of it. But like, come on, how many people really do it? Almost no one. And people are too insecure about themselves to acknowledge other people or to celebrate other people's success or anything. And so I want to give you a little way to celebrate yourself. You know, when children are little and they do something good, we say to them, do it, ta-da. And they don't know what it is in the beginning, but then they start going, ta-da. And when they do that, what do grown-ups do? They'll go, yay! And little kids learn so quickly to do ta-das. They love doing ta-das. They do them everywhere. They have a pee, ta-da. They, put on a shoe, ta-da. Well, we forget to give each other ta-das. So when you go forth and you zoot others, as often give other people ta-das. And most importantly, give yourself a ta-da. Give yourself a ta-da for listening today, for setting aside an hour for you. In the middle of 57 billion Zoom meetings, give yourself 5 minutes at the end of each meeting before you schedule the next one to give yourself time to breathe. So on the count of 3, I want you all to kind of look at the reflection of yourself in the screen or at each other if you're together with other humans, and look and go, ta-da! And oh no, wait. Do it like this. On the count of 3, I want you to think, I think you deserve it, ta-da, and then go, ta-da. And you're talking about yourself, right? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. I think you deserve it, ta-da, ta-da. And you can do that over the camera thing. You can do it on Zoom. If somebody says something great, say to them, hey, I think you deserve it, ta-da. And, people go, oh, all right then. But really inside they're doing a party, and make them do it out loud. Say, no, go on, do it, ta-da. And they go, ta-da. But inside, they love it. So go forth and do ta-das. Now, the N, so become an observer of your thinking. The N is for now. Be present. Be in that says present. Be present in this moment. And one of the most important things that happens when we get stressed or anxious or tense is that we stop breathing. So be in this present moment and notice your breathing. Let's say notice, yes. Notice your breathing. And when you get on a plane and they do that safety warning, in the unlikely event that the plane plummets to the earth, oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling. And, if you're with a child, what do they say to you? Put it on the child first. Now, why? Because if you're dead, you're useless to the child. It's yet another example of how important it is to look after ourselves first, and then we can take care of others better. We can care for others in a better way, which is another C word. I got this great symbol for you on this one. All you have to do is to, you're going to love it. It's a bit silly, but you're going to love it. When you're feeling a bit stressed, anxious, or tense, all you have to do is go, you love it? And nobody notices really if you're comfortable about it. So taking 2 big breaths is really important, because the first breath gets oxygen in, but the second breath as you breathe out gets rid of the toxins. Silly as it sounds, it really is effective, because when we get stressed, we breathe very high and very shallow. And so we need to suck big breaths in down to the bottom. And, if you're on a meeting and you're getting a bit anxious, okay, don't go in front of the CEO or your boss or someone like that, but just take 2 big breaths in. It's always 2 that you need to take. Okay, so it's take 2 big breaths, and that's your oxygen mask, your own personal oxygen mask. By the way, if you do this in front of the children and they know what it means, they'll see you when they're walking towards you with a problem and you'll go, they'll look at you and go, oh, back away, mum's a bit stressed. It's a very, very effective technique. So let's go to the second N, which is for nature. In nature, you will be healed. In nature, if you live in an apartment, every one of you, whether you live in an apartment, a townhouse, a house, a hut, I don't care, go outside barefoot. Go and put your feet on the ground, because there are electrons on Earth. It's all electromagnetic. Ground yourself. And, you don't have to hug a tree, but that would help. I have found more solace in my garden and in nature by the beach. I'm very grateful I live by the beach, than I've ever in my life before. It's astonishing. I never realized, thank you, COVID, the amount I had ignored the beauty of nature around me. And the other part of this is to go and be still. And this is something I'm practicing right now. And so far, I can be still for approximately 4 seconds. If you try, So I go out into the garden or I look at the ocean, and I try to focus on one thing and blank my mind, just to be still, to be in my heart. And you think I'm kidding, but it's about 4 seconds. Go somewhere peaceful that's a bit silent for you, or as silent as you can get it. Get your feet on the earth or on the sand or on a tile on the ground, anything with earth in it. Go outside in the sunshine. You're allowed out an hour a day if you're in lockdown. So go out barefoot in the sunshine, and then take shoes if you're going to walk, but stand on the ground barefoot for 5 minutes where it's safe and no glass. And just be still. See if you can go longer than 4 seconds. You probably can't. I have a very busy mind. And then if we go to the E, this is for energy. And it sounds like you're already getting, excuse me, lots of information about energy in the series of WOW workshops and things that the ladies were talking about. So I won't dwell on this because you all know it. But please, 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 I'm a physio by background. Will you not sit all day long in front of the computer? Stand up, stretch in between calls. Make time to stand up and stretch. Go in the opposite direction from what you normally are. Sometimes kneel instead of sit because it's better for your back. Plan exercise or activity, just activity if you can't do exercise for the day. Just do something to move. And then in terms of sleep, don't watch TV. Whatever you do, don't watch TV. Avoid all TV before you go to bed. It's nuts. By the way, if we go back here, observer of your thinking. I just remembered this, sorry. Observe versus judge. I think that says judge. Sorry. Because as I was talking about sleep and watching TV, I was thinking about when you watch TV, there's an awful lot of judgment happening. And if we start to observe and find things interesting rather than judging them, then we end up sleeping better. So read a book before you go to bed. Go back to the old-fashioned ways. Read a book or listen to beautiful music. Do something that's calming rather than the other. And so, and try to silence your mind as you do. And laugh. Watch comedies. Watch Grace and Frankie. If you're in my age bracket, nobody's going to be that old. But anyway, younger people find Grace and Frankie funny. I don't care what it is, but watch a lot of comedies and laugh and play. And you know about that as well. And also see if you can find an unwind ritual. And that can be at the end of the day, even though you're working at home, create a little ritual, whether it's taking your clothes off and putting on relaxed clothes, or going out the door, walking around the block and coming back and hi, I'm home. Something that ends the day at work. So you have that symbolic finish. Once upon a time, we had a trip, but no more. And so find some way to unwind from the day because it will make a big difference. So do an unwind ritual. And just quickly for the last two, we've got the celebrate and tada's. The way you think will create the experiences you have because you can interpret everything that happens to you. Your brain does that. And when you create what you want to create, when you wake up and you say, today I choose joy. When you wake up and say, today I will be a good finder. When you create moments of stillness for yourself, you're making the decisions all the time that actively then create the world that you experience because it's you experiencing your experiences. And most of us don't just fall into the experience and feel it. Most of us fall into the experience and judge it. So create what it is that you want. Focus on what it is that you want, not everything that's bad. And then T. T is for touch. We are humans. It is critical that we touch people. You know, I had to take up Latin dance when we were allowed out of the house because I would go days, weeks, and I wouldn't be touching a soul. No one, nothing, because I live by myself. And so it's really important. I took up Latin dance so I can touch other people as we do the moves. touch people, hug them. It's critical. Touch your heart, touch the earth, touch your pets. You know, humans die without touch. And that's why it's so sad with the social isolation. And then the final one is to be thankful. Gratitude is your best friend. If you choose to be grateful for everything that happens to you, if you choose to find gratitude in everything that happens, then life changes. And you can, look, I have these. You can make these yourself, gratitude glasses. If you choose to look at everything in your life through the lens of gratitude, then everything is different. Go forth. Ask your kids around the dinner table, what's the thing you're most grateful for today? In staff meetings, ask people, what's the thing you're most grateful for that's happened since we last met? Focus on gratitude because it matters. And create a joy buddy. This is the last thing, very last thing. I promise I'm going to be on time, Tamron. I may have to rush at the end, but I'm going to be on time. Is this the whiteboard pen? Yes. Make a joy buddy. First of all, find a human joy buddy. They're an accountability buddy and a resilience buddy. And make your own joy buddy by doing this on your finger. Look. Can you all do that now? Just draw a little smile with 2 dots on the end of your finger. And look at the card I found the other day. If you feel lonely or alone, do 2 fingers. You got your own joy buddy. This is one joy buddy. This is your friend joy buddy. And you can make a commitment to your joy buddy, human or otherwise. And this little joy buddy can be your accountability buddy or your resilience buddy. Because we're humans, we all need them. And so you can zoot, zoot, zoot your joy buddy. You can zoot yourselves. You can teach your children about this because they love it. And you go, hello. And seriously, when things are really getting you down, you might as well pick an easy solution. And you can be sitting there going nuts in a Zoom meeting, frustrated. 33 things are happening around you you can't pay attention to. When it all gets too much, go. But if you can't do that, look down at your joy buddy in your lap and you go, hello. And help yourself laugh. So zoot, 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 zoot from me to you. Take gratitude breaks. So in the middle of your day, stop and take gratitude breaks. And I am deeply grateful to you for giving me an opportunity to connect via the camera anyway, even if it's not in person. And I'm giving you all a virtual hug along with the zoot, 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 zoot. And I hope that somewhere in here, you've taken away something that you'll put into practice because you are loved. You are amazing. The experiences that you've had have made you the amazing person you are. And if you hear a little voice inside that's going, I'm not amazing, she doesn't know what she's talking about, she doesn't even know me. Oh, that would be judgment. You are amazing. You are an astonishing being of light. And I'm deeply grateful that you've given me this time today. And feel free to go to the secret page or you can email us through the website if you've got any questions. And I almost got through everything. Not quite, but almost. So I'll write some extra things. So Tamron, I nearly did it. Over to you.